We scheduled this tonight because of the levy renewal we have coming up in November, and just trying to get the information out there. Some of you were here for the board meeting, you kind of caught some of that information. But Lori Davis, our school treasurer, has put together a PowerPoint, and we can entertain any questions that any of you have about the renewal. So before we go on, just in case, we'll go around, introduce everyone. I'm Mr. Jones, I'm the superintendent here at Wayne Trace Local Schools.
I'm Lori Davis, the treasurer.
Rhonda Stabler, Board of Education. Melanie Four, Board Member.
Clint Sen, Vice President.
Jeremy Moore, current President of the Board.
Pat Ballot, Board Member.
Okay, we'll get started, and we'll have Lori start with the call.
It's not real long. I just put this presentation together just for some quick facts, and maybe it will spur some questions then after you guys see it. Of course, Mr. Jones announced that it is an income tax renewal. There are no new taxes. It's the same percentage that we've asked for before. This is just some quick facts. It is a 5-year levy, and it must be renewed by the voters on November 4th to continue. It'll be effective for January of 27, is what the effective date would be for it. It was first passed in 1991 for collection started in 1992, so it has been renewed over those years, every 5 years. The 3/4 of an income tax, it equals 7.89 mils. So if we were to do away with the income tax and put this on as a property tax, that's what it would equal to the property owners in the district. But the income tax, it spreads it out among all of our district residents versus just the ones who own property. The board, when they first passed this renewal, they had passed a resolution to use 30% of the 3/4% levy for permanent improvement. So basically setting aside money to take care of our maintenance needs. The board has faithfully done that every year since then. And in fact, as you'll see in some slides that I put together later on, we have actually transferred more into the permanent improvement to take care of maintenance needs. The renewal is critical to the district. It's to help maintain our existing programs and operations of the district, along with being able to offer new programs to our students so that each student is college, career, workforce, and military ready. And that college, career, workforce, and military ready is a component on the report card that we just saw that was released here a week or so ago. And Wayne Trace did receive a 4-star rating out of 5, which is very good. So I hope our community sees that as that we're trying to do the best that we can do and that we are accomplishing that. But that's what our funds go to. We need those funds to continue to offer the programs that we have and also any new initiatives come along. One of the initiatives that we are working on right now is the STEAM program. And we are trying to get that off the ground, and unfortunately that all takes money to do that. So it is a critical piece to our budget. This is just showing you what our last 5-year collections of the 3/4% were, and then the 30% transfer obligation. That 30% is what I just talked about that the board had passed years ago to obligate 30% of the 3/4% for permanent improvement. And then I have a column there showing what we have actually transferred. And then I have a column there showing what the total expenditures out of the permanent improvement fund for those particular years were. So you can see in 2021 up to 2025 what our collections were going to have been, and then in 2026 I am showing a decrease. Unfortunately, our first deposit on our income tax for this year, if I look at historical data and how that first deposit came in, our income tax is going to collect at a lower rate than what we have collected in the past. So what I've got obligated is to transfer $809,000 into the permanent improvement fund this year. That'll be some cash carryover that we'll have that we'll be able to set that aside. And what we've been doing is trying to transfer as much as possible into that account because we've got 3 buildings in this district and they're all aging. It's just like your home. You know, your roof doesn't last forever. Your HVAC doesn't last forever. So we've got to be able to make sure we have money to maintain those buildings. And we want to keep them up. We want our community to be proud that they've got nice buildings in our district and that they're being maintained. So as you look at that, you can see where in 2021 we spent $738,000, and you can follow that on down. We're getting down to 2026, and you can see where it's $3 million. $2 million of that, about $1.8 million, $1.7 million is our automation systems for all 3 buildings. And in fact, tonight we just approved to move forward with that project, and that will come from the permanent improvement fund.
That's the automation of the HVAC system, so we can control the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning.
Yes, thank you. Some of the other things that we have spent in there over the years, we've been replacing our buses. We drive, our district is 176 square miles. We put a lot of miles on our buses every year, and so we're trying to exchange those out to keep them in good shape, and as far as the students are concerned, we got them in a safe bus. Other things that go ahead.
I'm confused by the third column, the transfer to permanent improvement.
That is the actual transfer we did. I'm sorry.
It's the same as the
Yeah.
3/4 collections column.
Yes, we have transferred our whole 0.75%.
So we transferred the entire amount into PI every year.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
So the 3/4%, I'm glad you pointed that out. The 0.75% that we collect, we are now transferring, or we have in the past 5 years have transferred the full amount. So we have not used that for any operating. We have not used it for salaries, any of our instructional materials, those types of things. It's all went to things for capital improvements in our instruction. It could be anything from upgrades of computers, Chromebooks, roofs,
and
ceiling tile.
sealing the brick, replacing the ceiling tile.
Yeah.
When we had, we go through routinely and get different people coming in and tell us what we need as far as mechanicals and everything else. And we're usually really shocked at the fact that we just redid this building just only 22 years ago, and it already needs new air conditioning and new things like that. And that adds up. So when you look at it, the dollar amount overall is a little scary, but we've been chipping away at it and spending what we need to spend to keep the buildings in good shape. You know, we have 3 campuses, and it does make it a little more challenging, especially when you have one that's dating from the 1920s, to do that. But it's one of the things we're challenged with, but we feel that it's core to do. And that's why we put the money into permanent improvement.
And then we always have things that happen that we don't expect. Tonight we passed a resolution to repair the elevator, $20,000. We didn't know that was even gonna happen. I mean, there's things that happen that we don't plan on either. So we gotta make sure that we have enough money in that account to take care of that. In the transfer for this year of $809,000, we just won't have the cash to move over into the permanent improvement fund as we have in the past. Some of this was due to COVID dollars. We got COVID grants from the federal government, and so we were able to utilize them for some things, but the majority of it is just we're wanting to put the money aside to take care of the maintenance needs. This just kind of breaks down what we've spent those dollars on from fiscal year 21 to fiscal year 25, and you can see where the bulk of it is. It's in maintenance. We've had a little bit of health and hygiene signing registering. We've spent some money on drama over at the auditorium, a little bit in athletic, transportation, that's the purchase of buses, technology, again, that's replacing Chromebooks, laptops, those types of things. And then instructional are the instructional needs that we need. I mean, we've got to replace, desks, chairs, textbooks. Textbooks is a big one that
We buy books out of this.
Mhm,
That's
yeah.
the biggest one.
Yeah, we have a 5-year cycle on our curriculum, and Tim Mans takes care of that, and we make sure we have enough money set aside to keep that transition going so that we're teaching to what we should be teaching, up-to-date stuff.
At one time, things our dollars got tight, and that was probably when I came on the board, and we got out of that 5-year cycle, and it was, you start teaching kids with outdated information, it's kind of embarrassing. So we've tried to maintain that 5-year cycle and get those the math books, the history books, everything cycled on a 5-year pattern.
This is just some of our projected needs that we see, that we have kind of put on a chart. We have a capital plan, and we try and phase things in so that we're not all doing it in 1 year. But you can see the list there of things that we're going to need moving into the future. Security cameras don't last forever. Again, we just talked about textbooks, new buses, flooring wears out.
Yeah, flooring stands out to me just for the short amount of time I've been on the board. We've had a lot of discussion on floors, and you start thinking, that many children walking halls, and it's just a lot of traffic that you can't fathom that in your own home.
And it's time now to start replacing windows. And we're trying to do that in phases. We're not trying to do that all at once.
As the school board, we tried to, and I think last year we went through every building at in-depth and take a look at the condition of the buildings from top to bottom, from the basement of Payne to the gyms here, to the flooring and everything that we have at Grover Hill, and the gym there specifically, and the upgrades we've done there. And we try to work with, get our hands around so that the principals can really express the issues they're having and work with maintenance people in those buildings. So we've got a good understanding of what their needs are before we spend the money.
This is just a listing of school districts in our area that have an income tax. I just put the rates up there. You will notice ours is 1.25% on this chart, but that's because we have 0.5% that's continuing, and then we have this 0.75% that we renew every 5 years. This is just a simple math calculation on calculating your tax. Your tax is based on your school district adjusted gross income minus any qualifying exemptions. And just, some simple math, if it's $20,000, you're gonna pay $150 for the year. And then so on, as it goes up, so. And that's it for the presentation. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Appreciate y'all coming out tonight. It's, we like to think that we're not, that we've been pretty good at spending our money, and we try to keep things so we're spending what we have to spend to keep the school in good shape, that it's, with the roof's not leaking, that the students are safe, that we're taking care of things, and that we're providing environment for the best of their education. And we appreciate the support that the community's given us to do that, and over time. Again, we're not asking for any more money. I think we've been blessed with a lot of benefits in this district, and though we have things like, the windmills and things like that have been able to get us some more funding. I think we've used it wisely to better the education of our students. And it hasn't stopped the need for this 0.75% income tax. So. Anybody else? Anybody have any? Yes, sir.
How much do you get from the windmills
Good question.
annually?
$1.9 million.
Okay. Does that increase or does it stay constant since it started?
It started in 2013 and it has increased every year. Our latest increase was from the solar field north of Payne that we are collecting on now. And then, of course, we will have collections from the Grover Hill farm that's going up. But at this point, we've had no certification to us on how much that's going to be. I mean, I have estimates that I have calculated, but those are, in fact, it just went over our forecast with the board before this meeting. And that is not in our forecast because I don't have any certification from anybody, so.
As new windmill projects, as new renewable energy projects come on, it has helped us, and that's what the increase is. You don't get any more from a particular project, but as additional projects come on board. So, two things that we've done. I mean, we've consciously focused a lot of our spending on early childhood education. About 10 years ago, we realized that, and it was made very apparent, that to do better in the older years, we need to do a better job in the elementary schools and with the disadvantaged children and the first and second and third grades, really focusing on learning math, learning reading, and we put a lot of emphasis and resources there. So that was our biggest push. The other one is reducing the amount we have in property taxes. If you look in comparison, I know we didn't do that, but if you look at the property taxes that we have in Wayne Trace versus a lot of the surrounding schools, I think we're just at we have to be the lowest, aren't we, in the surrounding area?
As far as
Property taxes.
the effective millage.
Yeah, the effective millage. So we haven't gone back to the voters to ask for any more property taxes. We're just about as low as you can get. And where many of the local schools not only have an income tax, have a property tax above the 20 mil floor to spend it for their funding. We don't do that. We've been blessed with the windmills to be able to avoid that by having some of our funding through that mechanism instead of. So if you want low property taxes, Wayne Trace School District is a place to be.
So how much do you say the 1.8 million that comes from windmills, what kind of a percentage does that cover the entire budget?
Laura?
Or I guess, what is your total budget?
Total budget is like $16.8 million.
Okay, so 1.8 million of that is,
10 to 12, 11%, 12%.
I'm sure the taxpayers would like to know that.
And this shows you how the revenues have been collected since 2013. This chart is on our website, and it shows you where we collected the 1.9 in fiscal year 25. And then that has been allocated towards salaries that have been increased since 2013. They did, when they first started in fiscal year 13, they did a big push for intervention. And they've continued with that to try and bridge that gap for students and be able to bring, your lower students up with your higher students. And so Wayne Trace has continued to do that. But of course, that gets more and more expensive every year.
And I think you see that in our test scores today.
Absolutely.
Is some of that investment we did 10 years ago. We're seeing those students in the high schools now, and we think they're better prepared because of the investment we made in the early years and will continue to make in those early years.
Do you think that if kids are not passing third grade, you don't just keep passing them on, right? I mean, is that what I'm understanding is we want to make sure they're prepared for the future grades?
We want to make sure that they do pass third grade. And you've got elementary principals here tonight that that we task them with, giving these students in K and 1 and 2, by the time they're in third grade, we fully expect that they will have no issues passing the third grade mandatory reading. Because we all know, going into kindergarten, going into first grade, you've got not all students are the same. They're not prepared the same, their home lives aren't the same. So a lot of what we do is raising the bar and challenging those students who are less prepared and giving them environment. And that's where we've spent the money, a lot of money, and invested to bring them up. Because once they get to third grade, we want them to be on an even playing field to where they are, should be. And then they can take advantage of it. You know, we all know that if you can read well by third grade, you're going to maximize the rest of your schooling. If you're struggling there, it's going to be really hard to do. And so that was our focus 10 years ago, and continues to be our focus.
I also noticed, sorry if I'm taking anybody else's time, that this one is a renewal versus Paulding's, that theirs is a permanent. Is that correct? I was under the assumption before I came in the meeting that they were both permanent, but that's not the case, right?
No, this is a renewal.
Paulding's is new money, isn't it?
Yes, it's new money.
Paulding's is new money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ours is a renewal.
They have 1% now. What they have is additional. So there's 3 types of levies you can have. Well, 4 actually. You can have a new levy, new money, which they're doing. You can have a renewal of an existing levy. You can have a replacement levy, which will change the funding and take it back to the current percentage. A renewal will keep the dollars the same as what you've been having, but it will decrease over time as millage changes, valuation changes.
On an operating levy.
On an
Yeah.
operating levy.
Ours is an income tax
Okay.
renewal, so
So
this is.
it stays the
this is
same.
two different, yeah.
Yeah.
So it'll be based on everybody's income in the district.
Yep.
So, yep.
And then in 5 years, you'll go
We'll
through,
ask for it again.
it'll go through this again.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep,
I just want to make sure everybody understands.
thank you.
And it would be effective in 2027.
Yes, yes, January 27th.
Because we're not shy. We put it on, we try to put the levy on as early as we can. And this is the earliest opportunity we have for this renewal levy.
It just helps us plan.
Yep.
If we wait till next year in November and it go down, it's a pretty quick turnaround to make some plans if you don't have the revenue, so.
Any other questions or comments?
Thank you very much.
Appreciate everybody coming out tonight. It's well worth it. Thank you.